Alright, let's talk about BuzzFeed. And by BuzzFeed, I mean let's talk about Bearing talking about BuzzFeed. And by that, I of course mean let's talk about Bearing talking about BuzzFeed, talking about something real that happened that is honestly very asinine. And because it's asinine, we need to have a little sanity break before we get into it. So, for everybody who wants a little bit of sanity in their life, not that you've had it before, honestly, let's go ahead and take a look at the fan art submissions for this video. We have a submission that was done in MS Paint by Issa B. They said to call it I Can't Draw Hands. And then, of course, from Issa B as well, we have an orange Suris. This is because on an older video, I messed up my color gradients very badly and came out orange. It was weird to be Trump spawn, basically. And then from Ghost Chan, we have me reading dad jokes, but I'm wearing a communist Mickey hat. Seize the means of production. All right. Now that we've gone into all that, thank you all for your fan art submissions. As always, they are greatly, greatly appreciated. Let's get into the episode at hand. Let's get into the madness. I have never covered Bearing before. This will actually be my first Bearing video. I have seen 30 seconds of this. Let's go ahead and see what all the hype is about.
The data of 2.3 million people has been leaked after a hacker managed to find a backdoor into the popular dating site Meet Mindful. It's incidents like this that highlight the importance of good internet security.
Oh my god, is this going to be a NordVPN ad? Hold on. Is this going to be a NordVPN ad?
And step...
Virtual Shield ad. Okay, I actually forgot this was here. Goodbye. None of that.
Do trans people need to pass? And is that even the end goal for all trans people?
Okay, so he's starting with Riley Dennis. Why are you starting with Riley Dennis?
Societal norm seems to be that people think you can tell what gender someone is just by looking at them. But that's just so far from true. So I'm not interested at all in leaving behind trans people who don't pass or trans people who don't perform femininity or masculinity.
I mean, honestly, this is actually true. So, the idea that trans people have to pass will largely create problems for trans people who either can't because they are not financially able to, or can't because of some other problem in their body. Basically invalidating people based on their ability to receive proper medical care or their ability to perform in a way that does not involve getting hurt. For instance, not everybody has the ability, let's say that you are a trans woman, and you have been recognized by people around you as a man for 20 plus years, and then you go through transition, and you might have to go through a transition phase with HRT for about a year to a year and a half before you start to look a way that you would consider as passing. Let's say that you are this person. As this person, it might not be safe for you in a particular area to actually go through transition. It might not be safe for you to go through all of that, either because your family might cause issues with you and then you might end up being homeless, and that's not good for anyone, or you might be living in the Deep South, and by doing that, you can put a target on your back, and I can say as somebody who lives here, you don't want to do that. People are violent here. It's not fun. It might not be safe for you to go through transition. And not everybody can just hide from society for a year and a half, not go to work, not do anything, while they wait for their body to look a way that will pass to everyone around them. As a result, you've got people who might not be in a position to go through HRT or surgeries or anything like that for a long time, or even put on makeup or change the clothes that they wear to perform a different way. As a result, saying that trans people have to pass for them to be valid necessarily excludes people who are probably in very abusive situations. There's nothing wrong with this take. I'm sure Bearing will have a problem with it or some shit.
Properly. Obviously, I believe that trans people do not need to pass to be trans or to be the gender they say they are. A trans woman is a trans woman regardless of what she looks like. End of story.
Well, yeah, that's because trans would be your gender. And as a result, this is going to be based on your internal identity. Any other factors that we could possibly use to measure this to be more or less accurate would be effectively a social formality at that point. Just like with somebody's name, we largely accept your gender at face value, or at least we should, in a normative world. Also, thank you very much, Adentesai, for the follow. And the Lone Honeybee for the follow as well.
This male conservative politician says he's now a woman and is therefore free to talk about abortion.
The fake laugh.
Oh, BuzzFeed, you're so f***ing transphobic.
Oh my god. Okay, so it's obvious what's happening here. Like, it's literally very obvious what's happening here. A guy is tired of being told that he's not able to talk about abortion because he's a guy, and so he tries to say, oh, no, now I'm a woman, I can talk about it. Except there are things that he does not have that still exclude him from that conversation if we were to accept the premise that he's not able to talk about it because he's a guy. He still doesn't have a womb, he does not have the ability to be impregnated, he's never going to have his body go through the rigors of a pregnancy. As a result, he would still never be able to fit in this category of people who can talk about abortion. At least if we were to accept the guys can't talk about abortion argument. We're talking about people who do not have wombs, usually.
I am going to declare my gender today to be a woman, and then you will no longer be able to attack me, National Senator Barry O'Sullivan said.
Is it not obvious what's going on here? This person has an agenda, and so that they are now claiming a particular gender so that they can fit an agenda. This is not the same thing as somebody actually having that identity. But let's continue.
National Senator Barry O'Sullivan has told Parliament he is declaring his gender to be a woman, so left-wing politicians will stop attacking him over his anti-abortion views.
Nobody's going to stop attacking you for your anti-abortion views, because we have problems with women who have anti-abortion views too. Nothing changed here. All you did was inconvenience yourself, ma'am.
I had the audacity to raise issues around late-term abortions where babies that are only minutes away from getting a smack on the arse and a name are being aborted under the policies of the Australian Greens. So I will not stand silent. I will not stand mute while these people try to continue to marginalise policies and ideas that we want to discuss for this nation that I think are largely supported still by the majority of the nation.
Okay. Just for shits and giggles, let's go ahead and do a very quick search, right? So, percentage of late-term abortions. Let's see here. This one's from The Guardian. Let's see. Is there a percentage on this website? Late-term abortions are particularly controversial, blah, 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 blah. Late-term abortions are very rare. In 2015, more than 400,000 abortions took place in the U.S. Necessarily, this is in the United States, not in Australia, so please mind. These numbers will probably be very close in both areas, though. Of those, 1.3% happened after 21 weeks, which would mean that an even smaller percentage of these happened at the time that this stunning and brave woman actually said his statement. The whole a couple weeks before being born thing, or a couple days, or even a couple minutes before being born, is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent. And you are probably, if this is the same argument that I have seen 1,010 times, you are likely using this so that you can attack people who do not fit into that fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent, merely because that very small fraction exists. But let's continue the video. It's honestly a short one.
There's no question about that. They are an ever-increasingly silent majority because they're not going to speak. I've had it in here. I've moved sensible motions here, reflecting the views of so many people in our society, only to have formality denied. No, well, you've been part of it, Senator Hinch. I'm going to declare my gender today as I can to be a woman, and then you'll no longer be able to attack me.
Except you'd still be attacked. The argument is still about the people you're trying to marginalize. Changing your gender, ostensibly, even if we were to take this as real, even if we were to take this as you're doing this honestly, 110%, you are honestly changing your gender, and not you're obviously changing it, at least saying you're changing it, for the purpose of gaining a political leg? Because you think that you're going to have more political power as a woman, even though history doesn't bear that out. You're still gonna get hit for this. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, well, they're a woman, now they can talk about it, it's fine. No reasonable person's gonna do that. But I have a prediction as somebody who has not seen the entirety of this episode. My prediction is that Bering is going to take this and basically do what he did in that little clip in the very beginning, and argue that, aha, look, BuzzFeed and the leftists are being hypocrites because they are not accepting the gender of this random-ass man. And if you listen to the obvious arbiter of all things trans, Riley Dennis, apparently, then you would have to accept that you can do this. This is a giant fucking hasty generalization fallacy. This is dumb, but let's continue. If that is actually what he's going to do. Also, lazy, talentless hack? Hey, I identify with that name. Thank you very much for the follow, and thank you very much for the hydrate earlier, Ton Bear. Let's go.
O'Sullivan moved a motion on Monday calling for pro-choice activists to be banned from disrupting the annual Day of the Unborn Child, established by Pope John Paul II to provide a position option in favour of life, and is observed on March 25th. The motion claimed it was hypocritical of pro-choice activists to complain about pro-life protests near abortion clinics, while also protesting at pro-life events. It was voted down 32 to 12.
Alright, so let's reframe this and see if maybe there's a reason that there's not actual hypocrisy happening here. Let's say that the KKK, which, if you are pro-life in the sense that you believe that women should have their bodies restricted, I do view you in a very negative light. So if you want to say, oh my god, this isn't like the KKK, shut up. So, to me, let's say that you've got someone from the KKK, right? And this person from the KKK, or this group from the KKK, are holding an anti-black rally. They want to segregate your school. So they're holding a rally so that they don't have to have their white kids going to school with your black kids, because it makes them very, very upset. It upsetties their spaghetti. Now, then, when they decide to hold... You complain, right? Everybody complains about their presence there. They complain that they are disrupting school activities, and they're making people feel unsafe, which white supremacists tend to do, right? And now, let's say that these white supremacists, these KKK members, then go and have a rally. They exercise their free speech to go have a rally. They want to unite the right, or have a straight pride parade, or whatever the fuck coded language they want to use today, right? And let's say that when they do this, then a group of mixed race people, includes people of color, or just random-ass parents who were tired of them being at the rally from before, then come in and protest their rally here. They protest their little white supremacist rally. And they go, you complained about us at your school. Aren't you being hypocritical here? Well, no. They've exercised their free speech to criticize your involvement and disrupting their activities when you were at their school, and they're exercising their free speech in arguing against your rally here. There is no hypocrisy here. There is wanting you the fuck out of our space, and then when you go to do your thing, celebrating the fact that you're going to go invade our space again later. We don't like that one either. That's not hypocritical. But let's go ahead and continue. I'm surprised that Bering hasn't made more commentary in half of the video.
During the debate, Green Senator Larissa Waters said O'Sullivan should be ashamed of himself. Senator O'Sullivan needs to get his hands and his rosaries off my ovaries and those of the 10,000 Queensland women who have an abortion each year. 10,000 women who have the right to make a decision about their own bodies without the opinion of Senator O'Sullivan getting in their way, Waters said during the debate. She later withdrew the comment after Liberal Senator Eric Abetz objected. O'Sullivan claimed it was these comments which he characterised as attacks that prompted him to declare himself a woman on Wednesday afternoon.
Imagine getting so angry that you couldn't restrict women's rights to their bodies that you decided to pretend that you have a woman's body. Again, that's me being uncharitable. If I'm being super charitable, then I would have to accept his identity 100%, therefore accepting her identity. But I do not think that that's actually what's happening here. I have no reason to believe, based on the context here, that this person is not using the idea of social identification as merely a weapon.
So we've got the Australian Greens and f***ing BuzzFeed instantly denying Senator O'Sullivan's declared gender identity, like without hesitation, because she's a stunning and brave conservative who disagrees with them on abortion. Yeah, way to peddle that acceptance and tolerance, you bigoted cunts. Now,
okay, so how many times have we heard this played out bullshit? So much for the tolerant left. Give me an H in chat if you've heard this before, right? Just once. It could be 3 times. It could be 300 times. Personally, I cannot count the amount of times that I've heard the dumbass tolerant left thing. I don't know if you understand, Bering, but there is this thing called the tolerance paradox. And it is per the tolerance paradox that we can accept that intolerance, which, BT dubs, pro-life people generally are very intolerant of the usage of other people's bodies, or people using their own bodies, rather. Not wanting to tolerate them is perfectly in line with being a tolerant person. I don't know how many times this point has to be made, but with that smug-ass expression, I'm pretty sure that you are not actually trying to make a point outside of being, well, a smug-ass. Also, we've got plenty of H's in the chat. The chat is now very H. Alright. Let's continue.
Now, you and I both know this is just a pretty hilarious political stunt, but we're not the ones constantly virtue signalling about accepting people's gender identities and respecting their pronouns. Had this been someone on the far left who agreed with whatever they were debating, we'd be expected to fall in line, accept their gender identity, respect their pronouns, or be dismissed as a transphobic bigot, because the...
No. If this was somebody on the left who had said, and I'm going to paraphrase this as best I can, I'm going to change my gender to woman so you can't attack me. Likely there'd be plenty of people on the left who are going to have an issue with that as well. Now, granted, I could be proven wrong. It may be that after I release this video on YouTube, there's going to be a bunch of people in my comment section who are going to get angry at me, and therefore prove Bering right. If that happens, I'm going to be severely disappointed.
far left are all about identity politics, rules for thee and rules for me. O'Sullivan's obviously got some strong views on abortion, which he's perfectly entitled to have and to express, but instead of challenging them with their own views, they try to weasel out and tell him he doesn't even have the right to be part of the debate because he's not a woman. So he does the pragmatic thing, declares himself a woman, and all of a sudden the Australian Greens and f***ing BuzzFeed appoint themselves the gatekeepers of gender identity. So all that moral...
Wait, hold on. Bering. The pragmatic thing here is... No. Okay, you... The pragmatic thing here is not declare yourself a woman. In fact, actually, if you look at the things that you decided to quote for your own video, one of the points is made specifically about a woman's ovaries. Him declaring himself as a woman does not grant him ovaries. That doesn't change. Now, granted, ovaries are not a necessary part of one's identity. But if he declares himself a woman, He does not gain ovaries. He does not gain the thing required per those comments that you showed on your own channel to participate in that conversation. Moreover, he specifically doesn't own someone else's ovaries. Note, the things that were said that you showed on the channel yourself, the bits you decided to show to your audience, was somebody complaining that your opinion does not control my ovaries, as an example. Even if he were to get a set of ovaries and a womb right now, he would still not have a say in that conversation, because the criteria being posited was having someone else's ovaries. Now, if he wanted to use a scalpel very sneakily, he might be able to have someone else's ovaries, up until the point where the cops got him for, you know, stealing organs. I don't think you know what pragmatic means. The pragmatic thing would be to argue his position based on the fact that he has a wife, or he might have a daughter, or any number of things. The pragmatic way to enter that conversation is to point out that while you don't have ovaries, you do have people very, very close to you who do, and thus you have a horse in the race. That's the pragmatic way to enter that conversation. The unfortunate truth for the conservative position on this, though, is that having the horse in that race doesn't work well for the pro-life position in any case. It works well for the pro-choice position, though.
Oral fagging we've heard in the past about acceptance and tolerance was really only half the message. What they really meant was acceptance and tolerance as long as you agree with us.
That's not what's being meant here. And I think you know that. I think. I'm not familiar enough with your content to make a judgment call otherwise.
Now, the most entertaining part of this was BuzzFeed's comments section. I mean, I was surprised they even had a comment section on this article, but they do, and it's funny.
Trigger the libs, trigger the snowflakes, own the libs.
Never thought I'd see the day Buzz...
Ha ha. It's 2016 again, everybody. We never left. Trigger the libs and own the snowflakes. It's all we know.
BuzzFeed would attack a defenseless woman for expressing her opinion. Shame on you, BuzzFeed. How dare you? If you're not able to conceive and carry a fetus, then nobody really gives a shit about your stance on abortion. It's like me saying Viagra should be illegal. You're saying the opinion of women who don't have a uterus is invalid. That is bigoted and transphobic. This is problematic for our trans friends. We need to be better allies than this. Hashtag, we still have so far to go.
You realize that the dude who posted that has an NPC picture, which generally means that this is somebody trying to troll. You're posting sniped comments from a comment section that probably has, what, 10,000 comments on it? As if this makes some kind of point? Does this make some kind of point? Can anything be construed out of this?
Being a woman is not something you can turn on and off to suit you. If you haven't suffered through everything else that comes with being female for the rest of your life, your opinion does not count.
I disagree with this position right here. I do. Again, as somebody who has friends and family who would suffer under a conservative regime that said that they do not have access to their own bodies, I disagree with this point right here. But again, my question would be, what point are you trying to make in showing it in your video? If you're criticizing BuzzFeed and BuzzFeed's decision, mayhap you would be better served by keeping the conversation to BuzzFeed.
How transphobic of you. You're absolutely disgusting. Is he also going to take a 1/3 pay cut on his salary? Is he going to be forced to pay for menstrual products every month? Sit down, clown.
Again, I don't agree with that one either. That's... Suffering is not a necessary prerequisite to being a woman. But again, the fact that I'm getting frustrated at the terrible use of logic that's being showcased in these comments is likely the response that Bering is trying to elicit.
Not all women have vaginas, so she might not need to pay it. No uterus, no opinion.
Okay, when do you actually start saying things on your own?
To make the Republic
is this all...
for the trans woman, a white as opposed to old brown men who would toss transgenders from the roof.
all What is the fucking point here? How is that a moment for that?
There's a link to the original article in the description. If you'd like to join the conversation, remember, keep it respectful and don't be transphobic. Also, subscribe to me over at minds.com/bearing.
Okay, no, I don't care about your plug. If we're able to plug anything, we're going to plug ddlgplayground.com. If you'd like sex toys to go fuck yourself, then please consider using coupon code Suris. That'll get you 10% off. There you go. There's a plug that you can believe in. So, yeah, no, I feel like that's, what are we at, 25 minutes? 25 minutes of my life I will never get back from a 7-minute and 40-second video. Where Bearing made, what? A whole 1 minute of commentary? He's certainly learning from the classically Abby realm of making points. But, no, seriously, as the first thing that I've been exposed to from Bearing, I am very disappointed. The actual logic being used here is so piss poor, and the method for showcasing his point would only appeal to the lowest common denominator. And yet, if we check the like and dislike ratio and the comments, we have 7,300 lowest common denominators. Oof. Anyway, that hurt my brain, and I hated every minute of it. And if you hated every minute of it, let me know in the comment section as well. I feel like I've gained nothing, and I've lost a lot, and my day is ruined. In fact, actually, it's currently 12:49 a.m. on the 1st. This is the beginning of my day. This is the beginning of my month. This has ruined my entire month. And my day. I hate this. With all that said, though, if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comment section below. If you want to support my channel and what I do, please consider checking the links in the description. There's a link to my Linktree, which will take you to my Patreon and PayPal and other ways you can support the channel. If you have not followed me over on Twitch, please consider doing so. If you're watching on Twitch right now and you're not following, what the fuck are you doing? And if you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and do that. As always, though, everyone, thank you, and insert in the video tagline here.